Star Trek 57, M23, take 2.
It's got Star Trek. Episode 49. Discovery, Season 3, Episode 3, People of Earth.
What were you doing?
The technology on this ship, your glass cube, these spore canisters, there's more to it than you're letting on. So explain it to me, or I'll report you.
If you were going to report us, you'd have done it a long time ago. Besides, I don't think you want everyone knowing you're the one responsible for the sabotage. Am I wrong?
Now, you want to show me what you're working on?
These spores are from the fungal species called Prototaxity stellaviatori. They power an alternate form of faster-than-light travel called the displacement-activated spore hub drive, though no one actually calls it that. And that interface you saw, it connects to me. I'm its human navigator.
Are there others like you?
There's no one like me.
According to articles that I've been reading all sorts of articles.
The Articles of Confederation?
No, not those particular articles.
Good.
Although those are pretty funny to read, too.
Those are kind of funny.
They're pretty funny. Anyway, this is defeating the purpose because according to all the articles I read, they said a good podcast will get right into the subject immediately.
Okay. That's not true.
dilly-dally.
That's not true.
And we're not bad at dilly-dally.
That's absolutely not true.
First of all, I agree with Jesse. That's not absolutely
So when
true.
are we supposed to dilly-dally at the end? It's too late to dilly-dally by then.
You can dilly. Well, I'm with Jesse. I think you can dilly-dally whenever you want.
This is a great podcast, and that's exactly what we do.
I don't know if this counts as dilly-dallying because it's on the topic of podcasts. But anyway, so if we're going to get right into the subject, Dan, what did you think of this episode?
Automatic transmission to u.s.s. Discovery, wherever and whenever it might be.
Okay. Jesse, what did you think of this episode?
Oh, I thought it was really good.
All right. So we got into the topic. Now we can dilly-dally.
All right.
Doopy 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 doop. Doop doopy doop doop.
Dilly-dallies.
So welcome to the It's Got Star Trek podcast. This is episode number, which one, Jesse?
49.
49. Where Jesse is up on the numbers. We're on episode 49. Getting really close to episode 50. That'll be next week, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
This week it's episode
and then
49.
50
myself.
episodes after that, we'll have our 100th episode.
Probably.
Maybe.
Thereabouts. And
except the one we didn't do.
Yeah, we have a bank episode. We always refer to this secret bank episode. It'll come out one day.
This is actually episode 50
when
right
we're tired.
now.
Yeah, technically it is. This is the 50th episode we recorded, but it's only the 49th that we've deigned.
So it's not as exciting. And then next week when we do the 50th one, we're going to be like, well, actually, we have 51.
The audience is going to be more excited than we personally are.
We ruined our excitement because we're either too early or too late. There's no way we're ever on time.
It's the price you pay being a high-level performer. You have to make that sacrifice.
A high-level wizard.
You celebrate the turn of the millennium in the year 2000 or the year 2001.
2001.
Yeah,
2001.
Right.
Yeah. We're
that's
using
when
numbers.
it's actually the deal, but other people were like, no, it's 2000.
Yeah. I remember at my last job, I told someone about that, and he just was like, no, that's bullshit. It's 2000. It's 2000
is the last year of the 20th century.
And the thing about it was, I was like, that's what I read in several places, and I've heard that. And he's like, no, it's nonsense. And I was like, just fucking look it up. There's no reason to argue about this. Look it up.
Just learn how to count.
And then all he had to do was look it up on Google. And you know what? He did look it up on Google after giving me shit for a while. And then he was like, you were totally right. He just wanted to give me shit for a while.
Wow. And that was 20 years ago. 20 years worth of shit.
Yeah, I know, right?
So yes, welcome to the It's Got Star Trek.
That wasn't 20 years ago that he said that. That was like last year.
That detail. This is dilly-dallying, which I'm not against, but
apparently the podcast people are against.
The fact you just provided was truthful, and it set the reality right. It It was not necessarily necessary.
Well, it was related to what Jesse was not necessarily necessary. It was related to what Jesse was saying about, 2000, 2001. When do you celebrate? And that was because of our episode 49th or 51st.
He was riffing off of my riffing, and
and we just got a little out there.
I'm in favor of all of this, by the way.
Okay.
I am merely playing advocate for that beleaguered minority of the audience.
Okay.
Who thinks, guys, we really want to listen to your insights.
Can you just start
Can you
talking
just
about
get to the insights?
goddamn
They're going to
Star
say
Trek?
you haven't even mentioned which episode you're talking about. I mean, we have. It's on the intro to the show, by the way.
In this culture we live in now, where
You can see it on your podcast player.
With where technology is, we really do owe the audience everything. Like, they're doing us a favor by listening to us.
True.
And if we don't follow some certain set of rules, they can just be like, "Fuck you, you owe me. I'm done with you."
I'm going to listen to this other Star Trek.
It's not like, "Oh, we're doing you the favor by providing you with this entertainment." It's like they're doing us the favor by listening to us. That's where we are nowadays with how much
because
stuff we got out there.
there's a million podcasts.
Yeah. But I will still break the rules because I'm a fucking punk rocker.
It's very meta of you, Dan, because your explanation of the importance of the audience was indeed breaking the core number one rule of podcasting. No fucking dilly-dallying. Not at the beginning of the show. Save that till later. The beginning of the show is for ads and introducing your names, even though nobody gives a shit about our names.
Ads.
One thing you got to learn about me, guys, is that, I don't play by the rules. All right? I'm like a free thinker.
Yeah.
And I tell it like it is.
I already knew that.
He's telling the truth. He's using a funny voice, but he's telling the truth.
Things are funny when I say it like this.
That's your normal voice.
All right. So which episode are we talking about?
Let's go.
Season 3, episode 3 of Star Trek Discovery.
And what's it called?
It's called People of Earth.
People of Earth. I like this title.
Yeah. And real quick, that quote I did
They were going to call it Earth People, but they decided to not do it that way.
Oh, yeah?
No, I'm just talking shit.
That quote,
dilly-dallying.
that quote I gave of wherever or whenever it might be, I was pointing out the whenever thing because it's like, there's really no other way they can really say that because it's true.
This is an addendum, a correction to your opinions last week.
It's
an adjustment.
Well, an adjustment. And I still it's still kind of like, oh, when are we? It's still kind of a weird thing to say.
It makes you bitter, but you understand it.
Yeah, because there's no real convenient way to say it any more. You can say that any more clearly and quickly.
If they were doing 26 episodes a season, they would have an episode where one of the crew members, the B plot would be him it would be about episode 4 or 5, and it would be the crew member who had recently gone to the future with the Discovery, just sort of being aggravated by people keeping saying, like, we don't know when we are.
Yeah. Where or when. It's like, come on, guys. Cut that shit out.
Yeah.
Stardate 8652111.3.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Oh, cool.
I thought so.
3188.
We found out that nobody has found a good alternative to dilithium 700 years after they left to go forward in time. They are now 930 years past their original date, and it was 700 years ago, so it was 230 years prior to where they are now. Now meaning what the time that's taking place on the show. 230 years prior was the burn, when dilithium went inert, but people still trade inert dilithium. I don't know what they're doing with dilithium if it's all inert.
They're trickling out details. The details are trickling through.
Mm-hmm.
And what did you think of this montage of Burnham, her year in the future?
I thought it was pretty cool. I enjoyed it. It really gave a sense, and they kind of drilled it home with when it showed the scene with her with the short hair, and then it spooned over to her with the middle length hair, and then it forked on over to her with the long hair, and you saw the way that she looked was more and more away from Starfleet and more like Giorgio or something, actually. So, which Giorgio kind of alludes to in the episode. I thought it was. I'm glad they did that. I'm glad they gave just a general montage to sort of connect you with that past year really quick. They didn't. I don't know. I mean, there was really no reason to go in depth on it too much.
You see her doing stuff and, flying places here and there, being a courier. She's talking about trying to figure things out, and that's kind of what you see. She's just, going places and growing her hair out.
Yeah, you wonder about what would the alternative be.
Yeah.
Because montages, sometimes you want to be a little careful. I agree, though. I think it worked. It was very effective in this, especially the effectiveness for me was enhanced partly by the way they cut it off. You know, the way they're going to they're lulling you into the montage, conveying some information, and then boom, the communicator chirps, and then the emotions that Sonequa Martin Green then shows on her face, where she's got like 50 emotions all at once,
and it chirps in a funny like old school sound, but it's like the updated old school tricorder sound.
I guess the alternative is either jump straight into it, and then she kind of slowly over the season reveals kind of what happened. They could have done that, or they could have just gone back, teased us with the crew, and then gone back and spent several episodes with her during that year. But then they'd spend like the whole season on her in that year, or maybe an episode.
Yeah.
And it would. And anyways, you already introduced the crew. It's like you don't want to do another episode. Well, I wouldn't want to have seen a third episode that suddenly took the crew back away.
It'd be like the pilot episodes where they didn't really have to do, you know, and they kind of learned from that lesson. They're like, we don't have to do a whole bunch of episodes and explain a bunch.
That's
of
a good
stuff.
call. They might have figured that out, because we've discussed on the podcast before how, you know, the first two episodes, the Vulcan Hello and the Battle at the Binary Stars they're great episodes. They're entertaining, but the third episode is sort of the pilot of the show in a lot of ways, and you might have had it been more effective in the first season, which was problematic, even though we enjoyed it, if you had flashbacks instead. I think that here, instead of doing the flashbacks throughout the season, because, you know, you don't need to, it's just, we're conveying that she was here on the planet for a while, had some experiences, and, you know, and then she'll make references presumably here and there, like she did in this episode.
Yeah, the whole point of it was just to kind of like take you to her state of mind now, which was a sort of state of disconnection, which we'll see if they they keep coming back to that during the season, where she has to keep finding her way. I mean, she was only gone a year. I can understand, you know, but it wasn't like 10 years, you know. But a year is a long time to think your friends are dead.
And a traumatic year. People have pointed this out in discussions online, that relating it to the traumatic year much of the planet has gone through in 2020 when we're recording this, and how many things can change so swiftly in terms of your outlook on life and your attitude towards things and how you do things.
If things are like, you know, it's not like everything got better like right after that first episode. It's still gonna, like, all the conditions are there. It's gonna be, she's having a shitty time in the future. The future's fucked. Like, you know, it's not an easy time, but she's learning how to survive. She seems to be thriving to a certain degree in a perhaps unexpected way, or at least unexpected from her perspective, maybe. Yeah.
I think that, you know, Tilly, you know, a few scenes from here, comments that she seems somehow lighter.
Oh, right. Yeah, right? Lighter. Yeah.
And you can have a disconnect between feeling better and more confident about yourself, but then having to kind of come back to your family, you know, where you've gone through this ordeal, which by most accounts is not great, right? You've been flung into the future. You've had to fend for yourself. But if you find yourself in that process and sort of grow in a positive way, plus you did a bunch of space LSD, remember, in the first episode.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So maybe that got her put on the right mental path or something. You can understand a little bit of confusion and discomfort coming back to where you were at before, when things were theoretically better, but you're coming at it from a different angle now, so you're not exactly sure how you're going to fit in.
And was it Giorgio says something to how she's Michael's always looking for somebody to tell her what to do or how to be, and then she was with it. You know, she was on her own. There was no one telling her what to do or how to be. So
she got to be her.
She changed. Yeah.
So then the question again is, or a question that I think about is, will they indicated that they're going to approach this, you know, periodically throughout the season. She's talked about it's going to take me a while to readjust. Of course, they could also just have it all settled now and then move on, because Star Trek's definitely done that before, where they kind of have a thing that's a big deal, and then, you know, Voyager is an example, but that's
and then the next episode everything's awesome.
Yeah, and everything, and it's just like that whole idea is completely forgotten. So we'll see if they decide
like
to sort of
like the
continue
point
with
of it
her
was maybe
idea.
like the point of it was maybe like to show that her friends are willing to be patient. Like, she needs them to be patient, and then they're going to be patient, and so maybe they're not going to do anything more with that so much. We just understand that they're all still friends, even though they've sort of changed. Like, at least Michael Burnham has grown apart from them. She's trying to come back.
Yeah.
But maybe they won't, you know, do too much with that. I don't know. Maybe they will.
Yeah. You kind of had to have an episode where they were, first episode it's her, Burnham, and then the second episode is the crew, and now an episode just sort of reacclimating everything, and it's like, okay, let's do this, because they hear that transmission from that dude, but that's like a mystery key to a mystery door that they never even knew that they wanted to open. It just kind of popped along. It's like, we don't know what this is about, but Starfleet, so let's go find out. And
it's
so
something.
that sets them in motion. So
and it's important to note they could have gone in a number of different directions with the exact premise you've described, which is the period of time where they have to reacclimate themselves to each other. They could have had Burnham being angry. They could have had Burnham being overjoyed, but then realizing, maybe blah, blah, blah. They could have done a lot of different things. So it's very interesting that they're setting her up as having grown and in some ways grown apart from Discovery, but she's still there. She's still helping them out. Right? She had every opportunity to go off and do her own thing. Even Tilly said, look, we understand. We, things change.
Yeah.
Things change, Mox.
Yeah, I was thinking that. God damn it.
I don't want your life.
That's right.
Because they've only had like a day or two without Michael Burnham, and she's had a whole year. Like,
sure, but they still, as Saru notes a little later in the episode, everyone has gone through this ordeal.
but they did go through an ordeal,
and they're handling it in different ways depending on who they are. I mean, we see that with Detmer, of course.
Yeah.
It's not as strong in this episode, but we still see the indications that something's a little bit off with Detmer.
And you only really mainly see it near the end when she's hesitant to jump in front of the Earth blasts. I might have missed a couple parts here and there. But
but that's the main thing.
Yeah.
That sort of survival instinct kicks in.
What was the general sort of like internet consensus on, or from what you read about speaking? I mean, because we brought it up, the montage. Were people? I mean, because there's an aspect of like, oh, montage, it's so 80s, but at the same time,
Dispatches from the internet.
There's a lot of Michael Burnham montages.
Reporting from the internet.
yeah. What does the internet say?
The internet says all sorts of things.
I am the internet.
That's the great thing about the internet.
I have all these opinions, but according to you, I have one that matters.
The aggregate opinion as determined by
You just have to find the one that
voting.
agrees with your outlook.
No, I did not see any complaint. The reception I saw was largely positive, incredibly positive overall for this episode in general. I didn't hear anybody complain about the montage. I did hear some people say like, how did her hair grow so long? It was only a year. My hair don't grow that long in a year.
Didn't I say that last week?
You did. It was unrelated, but you weren't saying it in a negative way.
No, I was like, whatever.
Neither were most of these people. Nobody cares. Obviously, hair. Yeah. My hair grows.
I would never write a message on Reddit.
But you can get extensions. You can get weaves. You can get super future hair growth
But
enzyme.
that looks
Yeah.
like it's not extensions. That looks like actual. When
Do you think you could replicate some kind of super enzymes to make your body grow super fast? Or is there some? Does Star Trek have some sort of ban on bio? Yeah, they do have a ban on biological.
On the genetic engineering, the Starfleet's not
Starfleet,
too cool on that.
but they ain't no Starfleet.
Because
That's
of
right.
Khan and whatnot.
Right.
Fucking Khan and his Superman.
Khan.
World War III. That shit went down in the 90s, yo.
The 2090s.
No, it was the 1990s.
The 19.
In the original story, Khan and everything.
Oh.
All that was like some 1990s business.
Yeah.
But so okay, the opening teaser, we get all this, we get this montage, it's a long teaser, we see the initial crew getting back together. We see Georgiou being all squinty and scheming.
Yeah.
Which was interesting. Georgiou is a complicated character because, she's
really great.
She's a genocidal maniac on the
Yeah.
one hand. On the other hand, Michelle Yeoh is so brilliant at playing the part, clearly loves playing this part.
Yeah.
And does so much with her face. And when she's, even if off in a corner, she makes these like little,
She's just like looking at people. And
making
just
these
like,
little looks, and it says so much. It's so exciting.
Yeah, it was kind of funny how she got Cleveland Booker to talk about his sex life to her.
He was getting all confabulated.
And then he's like, wait a minute.
He was
But
like,
she was
he was like,
convincing.
you're not Detmer or Tilly, and she's like, I'd sooner die, or what did she say? Something like,
Something
I'd
along
rather be
those
dead, or
lines.
something like.
Yeah, so
Yeah, she's great. One thing in this teaser that going towards what we were talking about with Burnham was you notice the reaction she has when they come up to the turbo lift, and that officer walks out and says, "Oh, hi, Commander," or "Welcome back, Commander."
Right.
And she recoils.
Yeah,
At
that was
being
a weird
called
scene.
Commander.
Yeah, I guess that was because he called her Commander.
It was she was just so unused to that, and that goes to what Giorgio was saying. They really did a subtle and good job over the course of this episode of just building up and repeatedly hitting that message of that Giorgio encapsulates best, as Jesse noted, where he says, you're used to people not telling you what to do anymore. Your whole life was people telling you what to do. First living with Sarek and the Vulcans, and then joining Starfleet, and you didn't have to do that, and you kind of liked it.
Yeah, when she was basically the discussion about who was going to be captain of the ship, when she said, "No, I'm not going to do it. You do it." That was kind of half and half. Kind of half. She probably knew that she wasn't the best fit for this role right now, or maybe she discovered that she never was, or whatever. But part of her was also, it was just because she didn't want it anymore,
Yeah,
So
I mean, she's also having feelings like, am I really going to be in Starfleet? Anymore?
So part of it was noble in the sense that she was like, no, you would be the better person for this job. Aliens aren't persons. Can you refer to an alien as a person?
I think they refer to them as people.
Okay.
They call them peoples and beings.
But they're not humans. They're humanoid.
I'm going to isolate Dan saying aliens aren't persons. Play it over and over again on a loop.
That's pretty good, actually.
You'll never be able to run for president.
Oh, man.
Oh, no.
Actually, it will be. Yeah,
it will.
It'll be. Yeah, people are like, oh, yeah, that sounds good.
Apparently, they just let just about anybody run for president these days.
You can grab them by the alien.
The sadness. Actual sadness.
So anyway, part of it was, she actually was like, you're the better person for the job. But part of it was also just personal. She just didn't want to.
Well, and this is also where we get to see what I was just referring to, which was Giorgio, when Burnham makes it clear out in the open, in a tear-inducing scene, a very touching scene, and saying no, sorry, it's you. It always was you. I don't know if it was ever me. You see Giorgio in the background, and she does this weird little squint, and it looks like she's sort of flummoxed by why Burnham wouldn't take power.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe her plans relied on Burnham taking power. It could be, she not only likes Burnham, Giorgio also she's always got some angle going on, right? And maybe her plan number one angle was to have Michael Burnham in charge. I don't know. Maybe she was smart enough to know that Burnham would end up not doing that. I don't know. But it was a very interesting reaction.
Well, that's interesting because in ways, Burnham became more like Giorgio in appearance and sort of attitude and sort of this more independent maverick kind of style. But in other ways, like you just mentioned.
Also in attitude, because she was doing all that during the montage. She was doing all that fight training.
She was doing
I know she's a good fighter to begin
training.
with, but she was really learning.
She knocked that dude
That was
way
a
up in the
funny
air.
scene.
That was a weird
Because
scene.
you see her getting punched in the face, and it's like this. That was really weird. It's like, what am I seeing? It's like, oh, cool, okay.
But yeah. So in the way that with all this change, though, this is the way that she definitely changed away from the opposite direction of what Giorgio wanted, because she didn't take the ship. Speaking of Giorgio looking, when she first arrived on the ship, Giorgio was in the background just kind of looking at her weird. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if she was just sizing her up or what, why Giorgio
I think she was glad to see her.
Yeah, but she wasn't, everyone was like, hey.
But she still gave her a look, yeah.
But she was in the background just like,
right.
But she was in the background just kind of like,
yeah, she was like sizing her. She was like, what's the deal here?
Like Sonequa Martin Green, Michelle Yeoh is really good at showing a whole bunch of emotions on her face at once. Now it's a different style. Giorgio's more restrained than Burnham, right? Because Burnham is the human raised by Vulcans, got really good at suppressing her emotions, and part of her journey has been in letting some of those emotions out, and so she gets to do some very interesting performances. But Michelle Yeoh is trying to be all cagey and closed and hiding things, but her face, just things ripple across her face in an interesting way, and I like that there's no clear answer to it. It's like, is she mad? Is she happy? Is she both? It's hard to say with certainty with Giorgio. That's the end of the teaser, and then we move into the first act of the show, basically where Discovery gets fixed and heads to Earth.
Yeah, you just get to see more fix-it droids.
You get those dot sevens. Those are the dot sevens.
Yeah.
Those were in the short trek Ephraim and Dot.
So wait, are you talking about, okay, so there were two robots fixing the ship. There were the one that looked like they had room for a person to fit inside.
Those are little construction bot things.
Yeah, those are cool. I always wanted whenever there's a movie, Matrix had them, but then of course it was Alien.
They called them something like beetle bugs or bed bugs or
bed bugs. No,
Beanal-
nobody wants to call it that.
Beanal boobs.
Was it Alien? Was it the first Alien? Was it Alien? Yes, there was only one Alien. Alien that they had those robots where you get in them. Those bots you get in them and they're extensions of your body.
I thought that was Aliens.
That's what I was wondering.
I think that's
Oh,
Aliens.
I think that's an alien.
Yeah, I was
Aliens.
always obsessed with those things. It was fucking awesome.
Directed by James Cameron.
And so those were cool fixer bots, but then there was the cute little fixie
little dot sevens.
the automated fixie guys.
And we know not everyone out there has been able to see the short treks, so we won't spoil anything about it. But the Ephraim and Dot is an animated short trek. It's cute. It's more geared in the direction sort of of children, but it has so many delightful little surprises in it. And
It is delightful.
The Dot 7 is a prominent plays a prominent role in that short trek. So check it out if you get a chance.
So so there was the little fixer ships,
Memory Wall.
memory wall.
That's where Tilly and Burnham meet, sort of a 9/11 style.
Badges.
Yeah, the badges, they don't need no stinking badges, which is actually the original line. We don't need no stinking badges.
Yeah.
That, of course, Weird Al parodied with badgers.
Yes.
Those are badgies.
Badgerinos.
Badges.
Those badges all had weird, different little... One had a weird cubular spiral thing going on, and they had these little designs on them.
Different departments.
Yeah, the different
like-
branches had different symbols for the TOS insignia.
I like that angular spiral. I don't know if there's a separate word for that. You know, a spiral, except if instead of circling in on itself, it was squaring a little bit, angling in on itself. I don't know.
Yeah, it was like, for like the command and the science and the other guys. They all had their own little devices inside of the.
I didn't know that.
Badges,
Yeah,
because the badges weren't. They didn't. They weren't.
The star
communicator
was
badges
for
back then.
command.
But they didn't have that in other Star Treks.
In the original TOS,
Yeah,
they did.
just in TOS.
I'm such an ignorant fool.
By TNG, they just had the color codes and the
pips.
The badges were communicator devices.
The TNG color-
and they had the rank insignia.
The
too.
uniform color codes were confusing in TNG because it was that kind of yellowish. What is color?
It was yellow, blue, and red, but they switched command. It used to be command yellow, and then it made command into red.
And then all
and
the
then
red
command
was
and-
engineering
guys
and
got-
security and stuff, and then that got switched to
I
yellow.
thought at one point that command and engineering were both yellow at one point, or maybe they just switched them and I didn't know.
No, they were in the old one. They were the red one. Engineering was red, along with the security and the ops people.
But I swear I saw O'Brien wearing yellow.
And the cannon fodder.
Orion wore yellow because in TNG it was yellow.
That's what I was talking about, TNG.
Oh, okay.
Support staff,
TOS it was
engineering.
red, and TNG.
Yeah, I
was
mean,
yellow.
the original, they always joke about the red shirts being the ones who died.
Yeah.
Or whatever, so in the TOS.
In TNG they were the yellow shirts, but they didn't really do that.
Well, they changed.
They just killed everybody.
They were killing all kinds.
They
of
were
people.
indiscriminate
So
in their killing.
So Tilly was all crying about people who are dead. She's like, they're all dead. But that's kind of making an assumption that they can't go back in time again. I would imagine,
Gonna go back in time.
speaking completely out of my butt,
Well, you
I
can't
would,
scientifically go
I would
back.
imagine
Dispatches
that,
from Dan's butt.
I would imagine that it would make more sense to be able to go forward in time than backward
I
in
think
time.
it does, like scientifically.
Yeah, because we're
speaking.
doing that right now, bro.
Yeah, exactly. We're already going forward in
Going
time.
forward in time right now, bro.
It seems like
isn't it? It's more theoretically possible to travel way far into the future as opposed to try to go back in.
I think going back in time, you can make an equation for it, but it involves like negative velocity or something. Velocity or something.
Math is just
philosophy.
crazy.
Velocity,
All
negative
sorts of crazy
velocity.
stuff.
Anyway, so
Pluses and minuses.
did they go into this though with the idea that we're not coming back? Or
I think so.
Yes,
yeah.
yeah.
I think that was the idea.
because they went back in time already in Star Trek 4. Oh, that was ahead of.
That was ahead of them, bro.
Oh shit!
That was
Ahead of
ahead
them,
of
bro.
Maybe they'll discover that they can go. Maybe this is the first point.
Some kind of
that in Star
slingshot
Trek-
around the sun.
They can look at the
Well,
sphere data.
Wait, no, they already looked at the sphere. The sphere went back in time, so they know it's possible.
The sphere did not
Yeah.
go back in time.
It didn't. I forgot what the sphere did.
The sphere
what sphere?
just was old.
It was just old.
It was old.
Then what went back in time?
Nobody went back in time.
Enterprise. There was that dude-
Enterprise, they went back in time to Carpenter Street.
Yeah, so they went back in time in Enterprise, which was before Discovery. So boom, they know they can go back in time.
Yeah, the Vulcans were all pissed off about that. The Vulcans were, and during Enterprise, they were like, there's no such thing as time travel.
Yeah, right. And so,
I'm
but-
a Vulcan, and there's no such
I'm
thing
a
as
Vulcan.
time travel.
so anyways,
Captain Archer would be like, yes, there is.
Tilly,
I'm going to show you.
I'm gonna show you,
These excellent impressions.
Vulcans.
Vulcans
I'm
and
gonna show ya.
Vulcans and humans.
Sam.
The Vulcan Science Directorate does not believe in time travel.
Ziggy, what's going on? Tilly should know that time traveling backwards is possible at this point. She knows that it's been established in canon.
You're not going to assume that, Dan.
But
you're not going to assume that your friends are dead. You're not going to assume you can time travel back in time.
No, but she knows
They weren't planning to come back.
The whole point was not to go back in time because they got to take the information from the sphere, which is in the databanks, to the future.
Look, my point is that she already knows it's possible because Enterprise has it on record.
I know
that they
you're
went back in
suggesting
time.
she should be less sad. I understand the logic. I'm folding in. Imagine we're watching the Great British Baking Show, and somebody's doing some sort of a meringue deal where they have to fold something in. I'm folding in some reminders from how the second season of Discovery ended, which was the entire purpose of them traveling to the future, was that the sphere data had fused with the Discovery, and Control, the evil nanite monster bots, wanted to get the sphere data to utilize that data to convert the whole universe into like a gray slurry.
And they couldn't. The sphere data itself wouldn't let itself be deleted from Discovery, so they had to take Discovery away from the time.
And they couldn't
period.
even destroy Discovery because the sphere data would just like shut it down.
Right.
So that's why they went to the future.
Because they even tried to do a self-destruct and it didn't. Yeah.
But if they would try to go back in time to save their buddies, that would be abrogating their mission.
Well, homemade hummingbird cake.
Yes.
Yeah, what was that all about?
That old yarn.
I want to see what that's all about.
Fine.
Cake is eternal, though.
Yeah.
Which is a good line.
Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah,
good.
it's an
She got all
line.
serious about it.
They got all faux serious.
Cake is eternal.
When Stamets said, "Ensign Tilly, I'm still waiting for that recalibration kit," I thought he said recalibration kid. As in, like, he called her a kid.
You're the recalibration
Kiddo.
kid.
Yeah. Yeah, no. That's even better. The recalibration kid.
Watch out.
Watch out.
Sounds like something Rutherford would say on Lower Decks.
Recalibration, comma, kid. I thought he was calling her a kid, but your way is funnier.
So we already discussed a little bit about Tilly talking with Burnham. This was an interesting scene. As Jesse noted, Tilly's making very clear here that she wants to be with her friend Burnham, but she recognizes that her friend Burnham has gone through an experience and that it's not going to be an instantaneous thing. And
Tilly is so totally understanding.
Tilly is super awesome always.
Mm-hmm.
She is the example to follow. She is one of the wisest characters on the show. The actress's name is Mary Wiseman.
Whoa.
Uh-oh.
And it was funny though because she got into like a smarty pants. She got all threatened by that
Adira.
Adira,
yes.
because it was a smarty pants contest, and which is a nice.
We get it. You're smart.
Yeah,
Everybody's smart. here.
Museums are cool.
But Tilly did such a
live in a
good
museum.
service here by modeling the behavior. And again, I think we talked about this last week where this season seems to be the message is about modeling good behavior as a way to
Modeling clay,
modeling.
a secret ingredient to eggs erroneous.
But modeling good behavior as the way to make a better universe, quite literally in this case.
Because it was like it didn't take him much. All they had to do was be like, "Hey, you were two different parties that are having a disagreement.
Precisely.
All you have to do is talk. Are you guys going to talk it out? Like we're going to make you talk it out." And like all they did was like, "Yeah, we'll work together now." Like
And
we'll start working it out.
Star did something similar last week when he was facing down some bandits, and he was just like, "No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to negotiate with you." And they were confused, because, and then he didn't kill them, or the ones that remained, the one guy that remained, I guess I should say. Anyway, so it's a great example of something that we're seeing a lot of this season, and I expect it feels like that's going to be one of the through lines of this season. There are many examples in this particular episode, but the Tilly one I think is key when she's talking to Burnham, and then of course later the example of Saru being able to forge some peace between these folks.
At the end, Tilly was like getting over crying, and whenever people, they kind of suck in through their nose quietly while they're getting over crying, the closed captioning always refers to it as sniffling.
Yeah,
It's always sniffling.
yeah, sniffling.
It's not sniffing, it's sniffling.
Yeah, sniffling.
Always.
Like kindling.
As opposed to kinding?
Yeah.
Kinding.
Kind bud, dude. That's what they used to call it. They used to call it kind bud.
To call it dank nugs.
Now it's got all sorts of names.
It's got dank nugs.
Dank nugs.
You gotta name it. It's just kind bud.
Now
KB.
It's Westover Waterloo or some kind of shit. I don't know.
Gelato.
Gelato Badato.
There's these kids that like smoke a blunt like outside of my condo. Like they just happen. That's their spot where they meet and they smoke a blunt. And like we were walking by them like one day and they're like, oh, we're just smoking the gelato. And I was like, gelato? I've had that. That's a good one.
Meanwhile, your Italian neighbor was like, what are they talking about? You gotta be smoking a gelato.
That's not a gelato.
That's not a gelato.
What's the matter?
You melted all over your face. All right. Next we're
sorry.
reintroduced a book.
Gallivanting, if only I'd known.
I love how every book, this entire time he's on Discovery and he's just looking around from the moment he beams in, he just looks like perplexed and like, what the fuck is this place? And it was really low key hilarious when he was beaming in, and to us it's normal, but you realize from his perspective, it's like, why the fuck is this taking so long? And he's kind of looking around as he's still beaming in, just like, Jesus, what's going on here? Another great facial actor, getting so many things conveyed in just a brief amount of time with no dialogue. David Ahala is very good at that.
Man, when he put on that Starfleet uniform, it made me feel uncomfortable because it looked so tight, and it made me wonder if she just found what the closest fit to him was, or I bet they're all kind of like that.
Like you could tell the shirt was like a little bit like short, like it was just short, like not long enough.
Right.
Like,
Well, so the uniforms, they look like they have comfy shoes. Those must be comfortable shoes. But they don't.
Michael Burnham's always got some Haberman shoes on.
Right, but their uniforms look tight. Like they're tight.
I think that's a Star Trek tradition.
Except for Enterprise, which had it the way to go.
Enterprise had the Navy style baggy utility ones. You're right.
So, but everyone, when they stand, Adira, when she was standing, looked uncomfortable. At one point when Stamets thought it was all cute that she tried to sabotage and put the ship at risk, she was all standing looked
well, you gotta wonder, okay, did Burnham replicate that uniform for Book, or did she just give him one of hers?
Right. That's what I was wondering.
It's like, here, you're putting this
She was
on.
just like, take your shirt off.
Yeah.
It's in your contract. You got to take your shirt off once an episode. Both episodes he's been in, he's taking his shirt off.
Because isn't that what he said? He's like, you're just trying to get me in one of these uniforms. Like,
pretty much.
You were playing the long game this whole time.
I'm trying to get you out of this uniform. Burnham, there's a subtle thing here. She talks to Tilly. She meets Book. Book has this little interaction with Georgiou. Then Burnham is talking with Book and basically trying to convince him to stick around, help them out. And she essentially says she wants to fix the future. It's subtle. They don't make a huge deal about it, but she seems to be implying, going back to what I just gave you a hard time about, Dan, she says that she will not let this stand. I mean, like the dude in The Big Lebowski. She does not want to let this stand. I'm wondering if the implication is that she intends not only to reconstruct things from this point forward in the future, but if there's a hint that she might have some idea to actually go back and see if she can correct something. I'm not sure if that's where they're going or if that's what they're trying to imply.
Wait, which scene is this?
This is when she is walking. This is before they get to Earth, right? So this is before she and Book get to the bridge, and then the story continues from there. Unfortunately, I didn't copy her exact quote, but she said basically something along the lines of like, I want, we're going to fix it. Right. And you could interpret that. Certainly you could interpret that as we're going to get everyone together now and rebuild, and it's going to be awesome from this point forward. But they keep mentioning, there's a couple little hints here and there, like when Book says, who is the we we're talking about? When Burnham says, you're going to help us. He's like, do you mean the Discovery or do you mean something else? Like, what exactly is going on with Burnham? They really touched on Burnham's issues not issues, but the trust between Burnham and Saru and her reluctance to sort of enter into that agreement. It's almost like as if there's something else going on that we're not yet aware of in terms of Burnham's outlook on what exactly her plans are.
Right. And I actually noted this part too, because it didn't make sense which makes me think that, like you just said, there's something more they just haven't told us yet. Because what she goes is, we could use your help masking all that dilithium. Burnham says that to Book. And he goes, we, as in Discovery, what we are you really talking about? And since she's like, shush, and she says it in that way that's like, oh, what don't bring that up, and I'm like, what else could she possibly be talking about?
Because I was trying to think,
like, who is the we other than Discovery?
Yeah, because I thought, did he mean like we as in you and me, because we're going to be a thing? But it didn't make sense in that context.
Right.
The grammar of it didn't make sense.
Right.
right? So I don't know if we're overanalyzing that or not, but
it doesn't make sense because she says we could use your help.
yeah, exactly. The grammar of it doesn't make sense
Yeah.
if he's talking about them two.
Yeah. So
I discounted that as a possibility.
yeah. So then he's just like, it's hard to say no to you or whatever. But yeah. So maybe her and Giorgio or something. But he didn't know about. Yeah. I hope that there's just something we don't know yet because it didn't.
And there is a year that is largely unaccounted for.
Right.
Right. And everyone talking about how she's acting different and how she's, and herself saying that she's not a different person necessarily, but she is also a different person, So we presumably find out more. But it's intriguing regardless. I'm hoping it's not just us making a mountain out of a molehill.
Well, I independently noticed that too. And but they must have meant fucking something,
But
even
there
if
is
it's
the
not deep,
possibility-
they must have fucking meant something.
Dan, you have to account for the possibility, Dan, that you and I are just colossal morons.
Or we're just too smart for everyone.
That's not true. Come on.
Oh, thanks, Jesse.
No, but it could be true.
Could be true.
It's probably not true, but it could be true.
How is that
I think it's more likely that you're just too smart for everybody.
Yeah.
I like that.
See?
All right. New delusion created. Reinforced.
This is the smartest podcast available.
Jesse says
It's got smart people.
on the subject of dilithium here, there was right prior to that,
Right? Patterson Air Force Base.
yes, Cleveland Booker looked in that room full of dilithium, and
Cleveland Booker.
and he was like, you could run a sector, 2 sectors.
Cincinnati Johnson.
He was talking about how many sectors you could run off of it, and saying like, look at all that dilithium, that's crazy. But what they didn't say is for how long. What do you mean you could run a sector? How long?
Presumably for a non-zero amount of time.
No,
Yes,
don't
right.
they have some sort of dilithium recrystallization situation? Is that what the deal is?
Well, what's the deal with dilithium? It runs out, right?
Who are these dilithium?
Like this.
But there's the Poe character. Is that her name? Poe.
Yes, she did the dilithium.
She invented a method to recrystallize dilithium.
And during TNG and beyond, they had that.
You're right.
They had that.
They were saying that nobody found a good alternative to dilithium. So if all the dilithium turned inert, first of all, why did that make the warp cores explode if it inert?
That I can explain.
Now, real quick.
Using nerds.
Only while they're at warp, right?
Saru said later, he's like, well, we weren't at warp, which is why it didn't blow us up. But if you look at the beginning, all those standing still ships blew up. So Saru was probably just bullshitting his way out of a scenario that.
Yeah.
But also, on the other hand, it's a creative license. Ships don't cluster together like that, not unless they're at Wolf.
Yeah, it could have just been
359.
It could have just been
part of the storytelling, like
it could have been just their
ships.
Yeah, just to show you like the amount of effect it had. Real quick, they said millions died off that. I feel like more than millions.
Did they say millions or billions? I didn't check because it it seemed like it should be billions. But I didn't look at
people on the internet were saying it should have been. Shouldn't there be more people than just billions?
Million.
I'm sorry. Yeah, shouldn't just millions. It should have been like millions of millions and billions of millions.
Because I was paying attention, and I'm gonna hold to millions, right? Because I feel like there have been in planetary systems that have been at risk of killing more people, in past episodes of things than just like millions of
billions of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean. A million, as far as we're concerned, isn't that many people. I mean, like in the area where we live, there's like a little bit more than a million people. Like,
so it should have been
like, what do they just have these planets where there's just a million people and they're just these empty planets?
Well, the idea would be that
they got a few of them.
First of all, there are some holes. And I don't think they're necessarily holes where it doesn't make sense. I think we don't really know the full story. We haven't gotten all those details. So maybe we will, maybe we won't. Maybe it'll be something Star Trek folks discussed for a long time, exactly what the headcanon should be.
So you were talking about why inert dilithium would make the warp core explode.
So, with the caveat that dilithium is not real, and neither is Star Trek, neither is the engineering of the warp.
Yeah, but there's got to be rules,
what
right?
about rubidium? Is that
the deal is that dilithium is you can. I don't know if you run a current through it or what, but regardless, dilithium is used in order to keep the matter and antimatter separate. So you can use your antimatter fuel to fuel the warp core, right?
So it becomes inert and it doesn't.
And so, yes, when something happens to it, as yet unknown, makes that no longer be the case, then that's why the matter and antimatter, boom, meet each other, explode.
Okay, so that makes
That's the premise.
so that makes that makes sense to me. So
I don't know about the at warp or not at warp, right?
okay,
But I don't know about that.
so here's the next part. They were talking about how all the dilithium dried up. They ran out of dilithium. On top of running out of dilithium, it also went inert. So
At a later time.
Can you use up dilithium? Like, did they just already? If the dilithium dried up, I guess all that meant is they couldn't make new stuff, but they could still use their old stuff. I guess that, and so I'm guessing, and then it all went inert. But does it dilithium go bad? How long does it take to go bad?
What's the sell by date on dilithium?
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you have to recrystallize it, that means it sort of gets worn out.
Maybe at
that's
a
what I'm
certain point.
assuming. I don't,
Do you think recrystallizing is like charging a battery where you don't do it as good each time?
Yeah, maybe.
So dilithium was bound to run out eventually. So it dried up and simultaneously exploded, which we haven't.
Well, no, not simultaneously. There was 100 years difference.
Okay.
And I think that's going to be where.
But that's pretty close in considering the life of dilithium.
It is close.
Considering the life of dilithium.
But if we could imagine some scenarios, right? One scenario, so dilithium, at least for a moment, stops working properly. People are still using it, so maybe it works properly again. Maybe it was just like a moment it didn't work, and then it caused all this destruction, and that was the issue, but then it went back to working. That's one thing we don't know. Clearly, they're using dilithium for something, and it's driving everyone crazy, so they want it. So it seems to me...
Right, like why do they want dilithium?
Dilithium works again, and
Okay.
maybe because... The other assumption I think we can make is that they do have other forms of faster than light travel, like the slipstream, quantum slipstream, for example.
But none of them lived up to dilithium for
But they're
whatever
not.
reason.
Yeah, maybe they're not as easy to use. Maybe
not a
they
good
require more.
alternative.
Maybe they're not as fast. Maybe they use way more fuel.
Mm-hmm.
Right. There are a number of reasons why that. So the fact number one,
Tachyon solar cells or something?
Taco Bell solar cell.
Taco Bell. So we know that dilithium stopped working, but seems to be working again. We know that dilithium got scarce and remains scarce. And we know that when dilithium stopped working and caused destruction to 100 years later, when it became scarce, super scarce, right? That's about 100 years. We can posit some things. One thing we could posit is that
It's no longer inert.
it's no longer
It's uninert.
Well, we can do that, but we can posit that maybe, they reference the Federation trying out lots of different things. Maybe something that the Federation or the Romulans or the Cardassians, maybe some scientist somewhere was doing something that caused the dilithium to go inert by accident, maybe, or cause some other, problems, whatever it was, we can assume that something's going on, and that'll be part of the story. I think the key thing is, was it a natural phenomena?
Right.
Was it on purpose, or was it by accident?
So yeah, one possibility then could be right. Like it went scarce, and then they were trying to do stuff to make it, make it unscarce or whatever, and then they accidentally fucked it all up, but now it's.
Precisely, yeah.
And I guess all that dilithium probably blew up when it blew itself up. I don't know how strong dilithium's supposed to be. But.
Or it's not even the dilithium blowing up. I think it's the ships blowing up because the dilithium is not working properly, right?
It's the
but
matter
it's the matter and the antimatter
right, but
connecting.
I'm wondering why they couldn't harvest that dilithium that blew up.
From the wreckage.
Yeah. I'm guessing it's just...
Well, and we'll see. I mean, the main difference would be if it's a person who did it on purpose for some reason, that's one plot line. If it's a person who did it by accident, that's a different plot line. And then if it was a natural disaster, that's yet another one. And then the solution to that, whether in the past or currently or whatever, if that comes into play in the storyline, will be different depending on which of those tacks. I'm getting the impression that at least this first part of the season will be figuring that out. Right, we're gonna figure out first that part of the mystery, and then the second part of the mystery will be like, all right, what do we do now?
That's you know what? That's a good answer. I think that has me satisfied with the state of dilithium.
Good answer. What about with the state of Captain Ndoye?
Captain
Ndoye of the United Earth Defense Force. It's pretty wicked. I would not be messing around with this person. Saru's got some. Kelpian cojones, or whatever the appropriate term is, because she seems to know her business.
and
the Earth people suck, man.
Yeah, they do. They're all xenophobic.
And
it's kind of like people now.
Yeah, well,
I do believe that is not by accident.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure that whole comparison.
Strikes, so we become xenophobic.
Yeah, the comparison between Earth and the Raiders were definitely.
They literally built a wall.
Yeah,
force
right.
field.
Yeah. So.
A wall against poor people.
I like how Saru just kept acting sort of like defensive and indignant because she kept accusing them from fucking shit up. He's like, Starfleet would never fucking do that, man.
And it's totally a tactic, too.
It's like, we're not here to fuck shit up. We're Starfleet.
And Doug Jones, he somehow he can sort of like convey that emotion through all that makeup.
It's amazing.
Like, I don't know how, like,
it is
he does
amazing.
It's just the way he moves his head or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, like, I really felt that shit, you know?
So the cool thing is the United Earth concept predates Starfleet. That's what the Earth government was at some point after First Contact, but certainly by Enterprise. They have the United Earth. I believe the implication is, I think it's referenced at least once or twice, maybe in TNG, that the United Earth continues. That's the government of Earth. Even when Earth is part of the Federation, it still has its own government, just like Vulcan, has their own thing going, the Cardassians, etc.
United Earth.
So, yeah, so they still got that going on.
Why don't they just call it United Nations? Like in the expanse.
Well, I mean, let's we look at this, and this is, right, we meet this aggressive, competent human, Captain Ndoye, who is there to protect Earth. And the thing that's great about this is when she's talking, it seems so logical. It's shit went bad, so we had to protect our shit. So we put up a fucking wall to keep out the poor people and maintain our
because they kept coming. People kept coming.
And it's brilliant how they made it sound so logical and then proceed to spend the rest of the episode pointing out the logical flaws in using xenophobia as a way to protect yourself when you actually are hurting yourself. I mean, it's kind of on the nose here because it's other humans, it turns out, who are hurting.
Yeah, right. And when they find out, it's like, oh, you're a human? We didn't know. And
it's
how did and it seems like definitely Giorgio knew that they were human. Seems like other people knew. They even sort of implied it with the speech. It's like people should talk face to face.
Yes.
They even said that specifically. So others had a feeling that this person was human, but it just didn't occur to the Earthlings.
Did you see that there was an article that had a headline like Discovery gets all Scooby-Doo?
I saw that headline too.
If it wasn't for that darn crew of the Discovery, I would have gotten away with it.
Took his
too.
mask off.
Yeah, they did.
Oh, it's just this guy.
I loved the mask because it was like a throwback to sort of the campy kind of. I love that, but
I'm wearing this crazy ass mask.
Yeah,
I'm a bug alien.
And when they were when the dude was talking, Wen was talking to Book and Burnham when
we don't know when. Or where we are.
When? You're right. When? Not with an H.
No H.
H. I liked how when they were talking to him, he had that sort of like metallic, pixely spaghetti behind him, while his head was kind of floating in there. It looked super campy.
He just had a shitty life support system.
It looked all super campy, but in a modern kind of way. And it was awesome. Yeah, and
it's modern camp.
Modern camp. Well, they took the mask off. First of all, how did they're wearing a mask for a reason. So Giorgio was kind of taking a risk pulling that guy's mask off, and it didn't seem like he needed it too bad. I mean, maybe
he was trying to be intimidating. I'm sure was part of it.
That's sure, probably, yeah, and probably he probably felt weaker or something.
Yeah.
But there was another exchange between Saru and Ndoye where he goes, Saru's like, Earth is no longer part of the Federation, and she goes, why should we be? We can take care of ourselves. And then Saru and Burnham, they exchange a look then that's kind of like says, wow, that doesn't reflect the philosophy and ideals of Starfleet and the Federation. They're like, we have a bad place if that's our measure of success.
There's a few times
it's like we don't need Starfleet anymore, and that's not what it's about. It's like you join Starfleet because other people need you, so
There's a few of those kind of looks when they're in the future, and it's Saru and Tilly, Saru and Michael Burnham, and like somebody says something about how things are, and they kind of look at each other like, "Ooh."
I guess, and it's a direct analog to. It's as if the United States, kicked the UN headquarters out, right? So they, Ndoye talks about how she doesn't say they kicked the Federation out, but she basically said they were a target. We didn't want them around here. And the implication is they kicked the Federation out, right? As if the United States had kicked the UN out of Manhattan, which has been discussed by a current administration, right?
I bet it has.
And so it's in proper Star Trek tradition, it's a fairly direct analog to some things that are going on in real life and sending a message. Because, by the way, by becoming xenophobic, 2 key points. First of all, they do look like they have kind of a paradise. It does look like they kind of maintained, to a degree anyway. It doesn't look like a shithole planet.
It's looking pretty good on Earth.
It's looking all right. Their investment has worked in that sense, but by becoming xenophobic, they not only cut off the opportunity to help fellow humans, to have allies out there, right, that can help them, but they actually created enemies. I mean, they created a problem by being xenophobic. Their whole thing is like, we got to watch out for this Wen guy.
In the solar system. That guy's just on Titan.
Exactly.
Who else is out there and they don't know, like on some other moon somewhere, just hanging out?
And it's only a problem because they made it a problem. It's an invented problem. It's like, we did not have to have this enemy out there.
Yeah.
We could have helped them, and then they would no longer be an enemy.
Because they just showed up and they blasted them. And they were like, okay, well, the Titan people were like, well, Earth's just going to fuck us, so let's go fuck up their shit.
Yeah, that's right.
San Francisco, it's like 1,000 years later, and I don't know what more advanced it could look like, but they still had flying cars. You'd think by then they'd be past flying cars,
They got personal transporters.
They got those that happened in boat that was sailing underneath the bridge.
That was cool, but like that, I feel like that's something that would have been in
it's a Star Trek trope, starting from from I believe Star Trek 4, when you have the shuttlecraft like flying by the Golden Gate Bridge. Ever since then, it's got to be like you've got to have a picture of the Golden Gate Bridge.
I mean, it's not an actual complaint I have, but it is kind of. I couldn't help but think like that it didn't look like they advanced much beyond how they
like
were
Picard.
in 22 or 2300.
It looks kind of like how it does in the Picard show.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I guess that's part of the plot line, which is at least in the last couple hundred years, they've been not only not advancing, but potentially regressing in some ways. But I do, Tilly mentioned earlier in the episode, in her conversation with Burnham, he's like, what's going to happen when we get to Earth? Are we going to recognize it? There's got to be something. That's when they make the cake is eternal joke. But she mentions the pyramids at Giza might still be there. The St. Louis Arch might still be there.
Right.
And it is very sweet that in the end, when they get there, it's the old tree.
That big tree.
I kind of teared up in that scene with the tree. I thought that was rather touching.
On top of that, the pull-out, the really pretty good pull-out, when you see the Golden Gate Bridge, it's like that added, that's still there.
Which was the opposite of what they did in the first 2 episodes. They did a pull-in on the first 2 ones. First was at the Mercado in the first episode, and the second was...
It's not the Mercado. I'm going to have to say the Pirates of Penzance now.
Okay, the Mercantile.
Oh, the Mercado.
The Mercantile.
Mercantile.
Yeah.
And then the second one, they pulled in on... what did they pull in on the second? Oh, yeah, when Tilly and Saru were walking to...
In Iceland.
They did the pull-in and it was like where you started with no people.
I think it's called a push-in.
Push-in. What?
Pull out... Push in.
Yeah, I guess that pull in doesn't make a lot of sense.
My dad told me...
You gotta pull out.
My dad told me his new favorite drink was called a pushkin. And I said, well, what's a pushkin? Because, normally he likes martinis. And he says, well, this is a pushkin. And he just poured a bunch of vodka in a martini glass and put a cherry in it. And I said, I don't think that counts as a cocktail just because it has a cherry in it. But, whatever floats your boat, right?
Potemkin.
Whatever floats your cherry.
I think a Cape Cod is just vodka and... Cranberry. Yeah, Greyhound is vodka and grapefruit juice. Oh, but that is more of a drink than a cherry in a side of a... Anyway, so both shots started with no people, and then you saw people, and this shot started with people, and then no people. But it was good. I like those shots. Those are fun shots. And they make me, feel like, wow, look at all that stuff. Fun shots.
Not like those bad shots at the doctor.
Yeah, I have a memory as a baby, like fending off doctors.
Oh, really?
I feel like there was
like Dan's a ninja baby.
Ooh, no.
I was like I was on my back freaking out, and these doctors had all these. I was on my back and surrounded by doctors and nurses holding me down while there was like 10 needles around me, all going all over my body.
I am 100% positive this was a nightmare and never actually happened.
I don't have any sort of memories like that.
I also have a memory.
Dan is pantomiming just doctors and nurses just holding down a writhing baby and just stabbing him repeatedly.
Well, imagine being a baby.
I will not. I refuse.
I did have another memory, which I know was a dream, where I was in some kind of coliseum and all these statues came to life and they were like giants and they started chasing me.
That probably actually happened.
Yeah,
I've had dreams like that when I was a kid.
Yeah, but I was a baby, so I didn't know the difference, so it kind of freaked me out.
A baby.
A baby.
I wonder if that's like a common thing for infants and toddlers to dream about.
See, being in a coliseum in a past,
kind of like
in a past life.
statues come into life.
Yeah.
They watch too many of the old stop
start.
motion animation movies, the old Harryhausen movies.
Yeah.
Anyway, we also see, in dealing with Ndoyo and all that, we see the inspectors come on board, which Adira is one of them, and the inspectors come on board. There's that funny, I guess it's Adira's boss.
We had the 3 robot flybugs.
Yeah, but he has a very interesting line that stuck out at me on the second or third viewing, which was, Adira is looking around and they're interested in the interface mechanism that Stamets uses and stuff. And Adira's boss says, "Our job is to inspect, not engage."
Engage, yeah.
And that made me think of both. It's sort of a double entendre in the sense that I know that's not the right usage of the word. Don't write in.
Then why'd you say it?
Don't write in.
Why'd you say it?
Like and subscribe.
Why'd you say it?
The not engage, it first made me think of Picard's slogan, engage, which when Picard means it means, we're going on a mission. Yeah, let's go, engage. Here, he's saying we don't do that. We don't engage with people, we just inspect. And that, to me, says two things. First of all, it's conveying the attitude of this modern Earth style, the modern Earth philosophy. We do not want to actually talk to these people.
They don't want anything to do with these people. They just want to make sure that they're not going to fuck their Earth shit up.
Precisely. But I think the other subtle message, and again, this could be invented phantoms in my mind, but the other subtle message I got with there was that one reason they don't want to engage is because they know their human tendency will be to make connections. And so they want to minimize any association with anybody outside of Earth because they don't want to risk succumbing to that human addiction for meeting new people, for fulfilling curiosity, for forming relationships
making peace
with the strange and bizarre, right?
Branching out.
And again,
learning and growing.
I caveated by saying I could be imagining that, but to me that came through underneath there. That whole like we are not doing this not just because we're xenophobic, but because we want to stay xenophobic. And how can we stay xenophobic if we fucking get to know you people?
Right.
So don't get to know these people because then you'll start to like these people, and that's basically exactly what happened.
And they had the 3 robot flybugs that flew around.
Yeah, those were cool.
Who knows what they did?
Well,
They inspected. They helped them not engage.
Microbots.
And when they came back to his hand,
Micro machines.
when they came back into his hand, they went through some weird hologram cup in his hand.
Yeah.
I don't know what that hologram cup was for because they just went back into his hand.
Those guys got some serious technology.
He probably got it at the local magic shop.
Yeah, for real. That's what I'm thinking.
It's like the new version of that, kind of like telescoping cups.
Or those
sponge balls.
Or
You
those,
got it at like Spencer's.
what is it? Russian dolls, or what is it? Where you like undo the thing and then there's smaller things inside the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nesting dolls.
I thought they were Russian dolls.
They're Russians.
It's because you're racist.
Well,
They are associated with Russia.
well, there's a show called Russian Dolls.
That is good show. Russian doll is good show.
It's maybe.
Then there's the tween menace / teen genius.
Adira?
Adira.
Yeah, who like I said before, she put the whole
It's
ship.
not a she. They, them.
Okay, they.
Well,
them.
This is going to be difficult
Well,
because
the actor is a they, but I remember at least a couple of the characters on the show referring to the character as a she. So I was a bit confused as to what the actual character.
See, I need to look more
Adira
closely to it
is.
because I think they didn't actually use any pronouns. I think they were able to avoid it and then have pronouns come in your head.
I heard at least one she.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll have to look
But
back
I'll check.
into it.
I don't know. Maybe it did come into my head
Because
my,
I think our
patriarchy, but
brains are so like grasping for these
that's
things.
true.
I don't know.
That's a good point.
I have to look back because honestly, I meant to pay attention on my second run through, and I got so swept up with the storyline that I forgot to keep track of a lot of things that I had intended to keep track of.
Because they a lot of what I've read is making. I mean, the actor is non-binary, but but they're making a big deal about the character being non-binary, and I wasn't exactly sure if there's just yet if the character.
I know that there are
The character themselves is non-binary.
they're non-binary pronouns, but they're not in popular use. And they is
They and
sort of
them, yeah.
they and them.
There are people
It's-
that use the they them.
Yeah, and I when referring to a singular person, it's still kind of hard.
It's tricky.
Sometimes it's tricky to
get
remember
used to
it.
that it's.
Yeah, if you're not used to it, you're like,
Yeah.
how many people are you talking
So
about?
I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean.
Oh
to.
no. This is what's great about this show is that they not only are doing this, they're casting a non-binary actor. They're casting a trans actor who's going to be on the show. I don't know if it's next week or so.
There's an actual trans actor, yeah.
So there is going to be a lot of representation, but I think that the brilliant move they've made, at least thus far, is the character of Adira is introduced. We interact with Adira, and it's a very interesting, fun interaction. The actor is fantastic, but they don't make any big deal about it.
So
So they don't make any big deal. They have the subtle message in there. The key thing that jumped out at me is when Stamets said, "There's no one like me."
There's no one like me, yeah.
And then Adira said, "I know how you feel."
Yeah.
That's the message getting across without the in-universe characters making some big deal about it. I was like, why? Are you a 16-year-old non-binary person in the future? To Stamets, it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
To Tilly, it's irrelevant.
They already
Tilly's
have
annoyed that Adira is young.
Yeah, right.
The boss doesn't treat Adira in any kind of weird way.
So I liked how Adira, sorry.
I know. We're going to have to practice.
It's all right.
That's the goal of this, is we get to practice.
Yeah.
Because there's representation on TV.
So that's the positive.
That's the positive.
Adira, when they when they first were doing the inspection, Adira seemed like this really sort of, professional kind of hard ass almost.
Yeah, like she's gonna cause trouble.
You did it. You said she.
Oh shit! It's like they're gonna cause.
We'll get there and
trouble.
then.
Yeah, it's tricky because saying they in a situation when you refer to a singular versus that there's also a group of other people, and you're trying to.
We gotta evolve, man.
Yeah, we do. Anyway, so what Adira essentially put the whole ship at risk, right? It was the sabotage. The
deflector shield.
Some kind of deflector shield.
Well, it was sabotaging the transporter, and then
via the deflector shield.
Via the deflector shield, and
Is that so they couldn't transport?
Yeah, and Adira knew what frequency to target,
and
whatever.
that's fucked up enough because that could start a battle between Earth and Discovery because they think Discovery is trying to sabotage. But what's even more fucked up is as Tilly pointed out, if you tried to fix it and you fucked up, you would take down the fucking shields, which is putting all these lives at risk. And then it was still funny though when as soon as Stamets comes up to her when she's comes up to Adira when they are up in the Jeffries tube. Yeah. Stamets
I know what you did.
And then that silly music plays. The music of like the fun, like, you're caught, mischievous person.
It was evocative of the music in TOS when, a rascally character who's drunk would be coming around the corner.
Right. Yeah. And at that moment, Adira ceased to be like this hard ass inspector and suddenly became like, and the roles, the dominant roles switched or whatever. It no longer became like, Adira is this threatening person coming through, although Adira is still threatening, but just for a different reason. It's just threatening if you consider the kind of power that Adira wields. But yeah, it was, I'm really trying to watch. It's much more difficult than I thought. Like saying she, and so it's like it's hard for me to get my thought.
Language
out.
is an embedded algorithm in all our brains, and it's very difficult to reprogram that algorithm. But it's doable. We get used to all sorts of changes in terminology and stuff. Look at the kids with their LOLs and their WTFs and their BRBs, and they got new ones now that I can't even interpret. I'll see stuff written down and I don't even know what it is, right? But, time moves forward.
Yeah,
and,
let's not talk about it.
It's a time marches, as we discussed at the top of the episode, we're really good at traveling forward in the future.
We're really good at that.
Yeah, we're getting better at it each fucking year, it seems.
It seemed like they
faster and faster.
I think Adele was, of course. Adele.
That's fine.
Now it's bleeding into other things. Adira.
I can't even pronounce it right anymore.
God. Adira. I think it was good that they got forgiven. Right. I think that's a good thing. Yeah. But I think it should have been taken a little more serious. The kind of shit that they did.
It's a typical Star Trek reaction, which was, you rascally young person, you clever young person.
And then they gotta trill a trill bit inside.
Yeah, trill symbiote.
But they're a human, so it's not working right.
And they did. It was cool
Which
how
is kind of like the Riker thing.
Yes.
Back in the thing.
And in Riker's situation, when we first were introduced to the Trill, of course they retconned a lot of that, but the basic idea that the symbiont could only stay in Riker for a brief period of time, presumably 1,000 years later, or 800 years later, they can do better. But I really liked that Saru went to the sphere data to look up Trill. The timeline is correct in that one of the things they retconned is that the Federation knows about the Trill, but they don't know about the symbionts yet.
They don't know all the secrets.
He's able to find that out through the sphere data, which is kind of a cool thing. The sphere data has a certain amount of information, and it's not even timeline dependent with the sphere data because the sphere was portrayed as being this colossal thing that had collected information from around the galaxy. So even though the sphere itself is from Discovery's time period, it still has a lot more information than they had in their databanks.
It's a mainframe.
Because you don't really know about that. I mean, there's that episode with Crusher and that Trill dude, and and they're like, "Oh, what the fuck's going on?" And then they find out he's got like another thing inside of him. And it's it's like they never heard of it. That was like the first time they figured it out or something.
Oh, yeah.
This idea of a singular object, the sphere, having all this data, kind of goes against sort of how we currently look at things, where originally we thought of, mainframe computers. We got the mainframe in this room, and it's huge, and it does all this shit. And it's like, in the future, the mainframe...
Can
you watch
everything.
the mainframe? I gotta take a break and drain my main vein.
Access the mainframe.
But we moved more towards, cloud storage.
That's not even the main vein.
Nope, but it's according to... No, it's not. But we moved away from that mainframe idea. We didn't go in that direction that we thought we were going to. We went more towards cloud internet and cloud storage and things like that.
Maybe we're dumb. Maybe we should have made Planet MacGuffin.
Yeah, maybe.
It stores all the data.
Well, I guess the idea is cloud storage is more durable because you can break part of it.
If cloud storage is good, why can't planet storage be better?
Well, because
that's the next step.
Because what happens when you blow up the planet? It's gone. But with
yeah, but you don't got to blow up the planet.
Well,
who got to blow up?
What do you mean? The point being is that
why you got to blow up?
It's more durable to have a network theoretically.
Yeah, but what if the planet the network's on blows up?
Well, that's why you make the network cross different planets. You know what I'm saying?
Subspace.
You just want that data to be able to relay all over the place. You know?
But people do different things in different ways.
Okay, fine.
These are planet computer people. There's cloud computer people.
I'll be tolerant of the sphere.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. I like that's a good step.
Yeah,
that's a good step.
I saw the movie Sphere in theaters on a date once, and I fell asleep. It was the worst ever. I think
on a date, as in like October 19th.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I meant.
I lawyered your ass.
You did.
I lawyered you.
The book was good. The movie was not great, although it did, I believe, have Samuel L. Jackson in it.
It did. I think they're going to remake. I think they're doing a TV show or something.
That's is that a Crichton book?
Yeah, it's a really good book. It freaked me out as a kid reading it.
Yeah, they're bringing. I think they're bringing it back, and it'll be better.
I bet
than the Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah, that was kind of like around an era where everying. Book adaptations were all kind of generic and stuff. I don't know.
Congo. Congo was like the worst adaptation ever.
Yeah, that was really bad.
I like the 13th Warrior movie.
Yeah, that was good.
But the book is different.
The book is different and in some ways better, but the movie is clever. All right, so that was
movies.
That was
it's got Michael Crichton
Dan,
movies.
Jesse, and Patrick at the movies from the 90s. Movies that aren't even particularly good.
At the
Not
movies.
particularly.
So anyway, Adira has a trill in her belly.
You did it. You said her belly.
Adira has a trill in their belly.
Okay.
Thank you, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
See, we gotta
work
team
together.
up, work together. And
every time somebody says it incorrectly, we should have some kind of whistle that goes like doot and like.
Yeah,
I'm down for
or
that.
just all scream like Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah, we can just scream like Pee Wee Herman. You said the magic word.
But that's a twist. That'll be a cool twist.
Pronoun.
Adira's journey, I think, will be very interesting to see that.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
I do think, again, just to reiterate, some takeaways. This final scene, we already largely discussed it, but where Saru basically helps broker peace between Earth and what turns out to be Titan.
So
When's Raiders.
It's a classic Star Trek deal.
Very classic Star Trek.
Because all is just a big misunderstanding. It's a big horrible misunderstanding.
And the planet of the week happens to be Earth.
Yeah,
that's the
right,
twist.
and that's what. Yeah, exactly. That's what nobody was expecting. Like,
so when Book and Burnham are on the ship, and they're all talking about Book wants to do the Orion
banter,
Orion tango, and then
their pre-coital banter,
and then Burnham wants to do the Radok scene or whatever. And yeah, they never said which one they went with, but the one thing that they said that was not playful banter was Book said Saru doesn't even know what we're up to, and then she goes, he'll figure it out. And he goes, yeah, and when he does, why is he going to come and rescue us? And she says, because he's Starfleet. Mm-hmm. That didn't really make a lot of sense, because when he figures it out, he would have all the more reason to come rescue him, not because they're Starfleet, but it's because they have a way to save everyone's asses. You know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying,
it's not like a act of charity to save them when you know what's going on. And turns out he never knew what she was doing to begin with. All he did was get in front of the lasers. All he knew was that it's Burnham. She's going to do something good. Yes. So he didn't know what she was up to at all. He was just like, I'm just going to jump in front of these lasers to give her more time.
But that's Starfleet.
Starfleet.
He was being totally Starfleet.
He was trusting her. And I get what you're saying, Dan. What you're saying is absolutely correct. Yeah. But in the narrative structure of the story, it worked great because that's the point. The point of the episode is that she can trust Saru to do things the Starfleet way. Saru can trust Burnham. He's annoyed that she didn't fill him in on the plan. He needed a little bump from Giorgio, who had to explain to him, look, you know the deal, right?
Well, the thing with Giorgio though is Giorgio was wrong, because she wasn't get in front of the lasers. She was basically saying attack fucking Earth, essentially. Attack those satellites or whatever they were.
So Giorgio was wrong, but she was right to at least, and Saru changed it. He was going to hail Burnham and Book, and Giorgio was the one saying no, don't do that. Whatever plan she's got probably will rely on them.
She was right, but then Saru had to determine when she was going too far with it.
And Saru has mentioned that before, that she always takes things the extra 3 steps beyond the actual, the initial insight is good, and then the next few things are the ridiculous.
Which is why they balance each other out.
Yeah, so the analysis is good. The decision making with that information from the analysis is not so good with Giorgio, or it's always going to be the violent reaction. And Giorgio would have made the same mistake Earth did, which would have been to maintain enemies with a poverty-stricken fellow group of humans, right? But again, it's another example of Saru and Burnham and others in the crew demonstrating and modeling positive Star Trek philosophy behavior. We call it Starfleet in the context of the show, but really from a meta level, it's this is the message of Star Trek, which is communication is right. Trusting people is right. Even trusting people you have reasons not to trust, because trust inherently has some sort of risk involved in it, right? That's just part of that trust does not exist without risk.
And there was also some amount of trust that Saru had to have, because Ndoye was saying, don't on the other side of it, don't respond to the hails from the Raiders. And Saru, it was awesome when Saru was like, don't tell me how to fucking do my shit.
Saru was just like, fuck you.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Fuck you.
This is my shit.
And that was a different maneuver, but it wasn't, it was also still based in some level of trust in the concept of communication, doing something different. When those missiles hit the Discovery, that was a classic sort of Star Trek bridge attack blast. Yeah. There was exploding consoles,
rocks
and
flying around.
Some dude goes flying. Not sure why, because if you look at it, the explosion is closer to other people and they don't go flying. They kind of fall over. But this dude does a fucking backflip 10 feet.
That guy
backwards.
is Gerald, and he is a drama queen.
Yeah, exactly.
He just loves to toss himself around.
Right. Also, I remember in the second episode, I was talking about how Saru had a moving chair. His captain's chair was moving.
Yes.
It was moving. It was moving. It was a movie chair. It was
sliding back and forth.
A movie chair?
A moving movie chair. Moving movie.
It was a moving TV chair.
I wonder if they're going to spread the proto-taxotes
the proto-molecule?
Stellar Viatori. That's a form of FTL. It powers a form of FTL travel called
faster than light.
I don't know what you're talking about.
FTL. Faster than light.
it powers a form of FTL travel called the Displacement Activated Spore Hub Drive.
Yep, but nobody calls it that.
Nobody calls it that.
Nobody calls it that.
Nobody calls it that. But
I just called it that, but nobody calls it
maybe
that.
that fixes the future. Is the proto-taxitis stellar viatores.
Proto bag.
What are they just call it? They call it. This is just the shit. We call this the shit.
Well, what is it? Giorgio called it like mushroom space.
Yeah, mushroom space.
And then Tilly was talking about giving
feeding Adira the mushrooms.
Yeah.
Those funny mushrooms.
Yeah.
Oh right.
Oh, I like funny
What
mushrooms.
do you do with it? What do you do with
it?
a teenager? Give him some.
Oh, and speaking quickly again of dilithium, it was funny that when the Raiders saw the ship, they were like,
When in the Raiders?
the Raiders, when in the Raiders, they thought Discovery had dilithium, but it's not because they saw it. It was because they assumed that's what made them travel so quickly. And of course, the ironic thing is that they do have dilithium, but it wasn't
it's
being
not.
used
Yeah.
for the super travel. So they knew they had dilithium, but for the wrong reasons. It's kind of like, but he didn't
that
know
can
that,
happen.
But
that
they think
can happen.
Yeah.
As, like Picard once said, you can do everything right and still be, still lose. You can have a lot of information and still come to
And
the wrong
still fart a
conclusions.
poop.
You can still fart or poop.
Unless the spore drive actually does require dilithium, but I don't think it does.
Well, the only other thing I thought, I guess long story short, I really enjoyed this episode. I've enjoyed all three of these episodes. I think they're building the story in an engaging, aggressive way, introducing new characters.
It's like the best season so far.
Yeah, so far it's
and
great.
Each episode has been like its own flavor so far.
And jumping off of that point, Dan, unlike previous seasons of Discovery, I think they're doing a better job encapsulating stories in each episode such that there is an ongoing story, right? These are components of an ongoing story, but more in the direction of the Deep Space Nine style, not quite that far, but the episode itself tells a fairly self-contained story, even if there's phalanges on the front and the back end that will connect it to the other episodes. And that's a long way of saying, I think season 3, certainly thus far, season 3 of Discovery, it's going to be a lot easier to sort of hop in and out of the season and be like, oh yeah, I want to watch that episode where they had to fight the cowboy bandits. You can do that more than season 1 or 2 of Discovery, or
especially
season
2.
or season 2 or season 1 of Picard, where if you were just to jump into episode 5 after a long absence, it would be sort of confusing.
You could have jumped into like maybe episode 3 or whatever when they went to space, but even then,
there's exactly.
Where's the one when they dress up? Is that 4 or 5?
That's 5, I think.
5.
It's either 5
they
or
go down
6.
to the planet when they're all dressed
got
up like Superfly. And
it's
shit.
got easier to jump in and out of episodes.
That's what we do. We jump in and out of episodes.
Jump in and out, except when we don't.
It's got jumping.
But anyway, I think that that was one of the main things. I liked the episode, and I just sort of observed that at least through 3 episodes, it seems a little bit more accessible. You can hop in and out as you want. You can be like, oh yeah, remember that cool episode where they did, where we got first introduced to Adira? You could totally come and watch this episode and get what's going on.
Tree.
I hope that they still incorporate Burnham's sort of trying to reconnect with Discovery, but I guess they don't have to. But it was. I
think they'll always have Burnham as a character that's complicated.
Yeah,
because she is
and a bit outside.
Yeah, she'll be a bit outside, and so there'll be some of that.
Yeah,
I think she'll always have her friends on the Discovery that are just Michael Burnham, we love you, and we're willing to accept you.
It was when she was talking to Tilly early on. It did feel different. Like that was effective. That was pretty good.
And in previous seasons, she was an outsider. She was always an outsider. She was an outsider when she was raised on Vulcan. She was an outsider when she was on the Shenzhou. She was an outsider on Discovery, but in different ways. But I think previously she was an outsider and felt a little uncomfortable about that and felt guilty about that. And perhaps that drove some of her sort of, insistence on trying to help people because she felt guilty about the disconnect that she was not able to overcome. And what we might be seeing here in the 3rd season is that her year alone, essentially, her year on her own, let's say, has taught her that it's okay to be the outsider, that she does not need to feel guilty nor uncomfortable. I think she's a little uncomfortable here because she's negotiating coming back, but perhaps that's going to be the lesson for her, that you can be a part of this crew and still have a little bit of that disconnect. You have connections and you have some things that are not connected. And that's true of everybody to some degree or another, right? Mm-hmm. So there's nothing unusual about that. That could be the lesson too, that she just learns that there's nothing abnormal about some of the feelings that she's having.
A few real quick observations. Over 1,000 years from now, that they still say bollocks. It's still a thing that's popular.
And walkabout.
A lot of stuff.
Giorgio refers to Burnham going on a walkabout.
That's right. Interesting.
Walkabout.
And when Book says, "Is there anyone here we could piss off?" Right when he said that, it played those Matrix horns from the Matrix when it's like, it did that thing.
Speaking of the music, there were a lot of musical cues in here that were reminiscent of Star Trek VI, with sort of a baritone choral stuff underneath and some Batman 1989 soundtrack style. There was hooting and hollering.
At 21 minutes and 30 seconds around that time,
1.21 gigawatts.
88 miles per hour, it fills up the whole digital display. It had this music that kind of sounded creepy and spooky. It was at 21:30, so you can look it up. But the instrument sounded like the TOS Enterprise, like beepy and boopies. In the background, it's always like those space submarine boopies. Those like boom.
Sometimes they got some people going like, you hear some chatter, like sometimes.
Oh, I see you have a machine that goes bing.
Yeah, and so it gave that water boop that they have in TOS. There was a musical cue that had incorporated that. I thought was pretty neat.
Yeah, it was neat.
Also, there was a shot, a wide angle shot where it was coming in on Saru on the left, right at the end, right before
left.
Right before it showed him looking.
That's an Avengers quote.
Right before it showed him looking
Captain America Civil War.
Right before it showed him
bicycle guys.
Right before it showed him. There was a wide angle lens shot that was a zoom in that showed Saru on the left, and then the next shot was him looking at the view screen of Earth. On the left, that must have been. I swear to God. I swear to Christ.
I swear to Jesus Christ and Christ.
I swear he looked like he was curved. Like, is that a wide angle shot? I mean,
wide angle curves. Wide angle and fish out.
Okay, first of all, let me say that
it can be aggravating if you start looking at the angles.
Right. Obviously, I was aware that yes, it curves, but I'd never seen it so noticeable on an actual figure. Like the figure standing at the very edge, he looked like he was leaning up against something because he was curved up. And now you're going
to notice it all the time.
Yeah.
Now that it's remember Plato's allegory of the cave?
Oh, my eyes have been open.
People?
I can't go back.
Yeah, and you're going to watch movies now. You're going to watch famous, classic, amazing movies, and it's going to aggravate the fuck out of you when you start noticing that in the far corners the door frame is all curved.
That was Carl Pilkington's problem in An Idiot Abroad when he came across frog. He didn't want to eat frog because he was frightened that he might develop a taste for it.
He might develop it, and then he's like, I can't get frog in England.
Yeah, so
they don't have frogs in it.
Well, from Carl Pilkington's perspective, he said he couldn't get frog in England.
So
I'm sure you can get frog, but probably not as good. Maybe you get more toads.
Yeah.
So we have a large British listenership. So if you're from that region,
awesome.
Write us in and tell us how your toads are.
Yeah, I'd like to know. So anyway, I knew that it was a curved angle. It's just I never noticed it being so pronounced as with Saru in that shot. So yeah, now like you said, I'll notice it forever and
forever
ever.
and ever and ever.
Forever.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know. You can't make me know.
You can't do it. You can't do it.
All right. What other observations? We're coming down to the final observations.
When I was talking about view screens, it reminded me of Ndoya saying, like, giving them shit about their view screens.
Yeah,
she was like, "That's quaint." I'm guessing they're.
Okay. I know we said we're coming down to the final observations, but you don't got to pull the Micro Machine Act.
Oh yeah,
the Micro Machine Man.
You fake the Micro Machine Act. Except he actually says things. I'm guessing at that point in time, you just have holograms of people.
Or program. It all looks like everything's programmable matter. You see it on Bookship. It's all the
Oh yeah, it's probably just programmable matter.
It's like you said.
It's not even holograms. It's actual matter.
Spencer, you said wasn't it you, Dan, who said last week? It's like those things those things you get at Spencer Gifts that you put your hand on,
the metal
and
needle
then you put your face on, and then you never use them again.
Yeah. But you're so gung ho about putting it on your face and in your mouth when you first.
This technology is brilliant.
And then you think about
Cavalier
other things you can put on there, and you're like, nah, that's gonna hurt.
Yeah. But yeah, that
draping your penis
the
upon
first
there.
time I saw one of those metal
Yes,
things with the
exactly.
pins that make that weird pixely shape was on the Super Mario Brothers movie with Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo and Dennis Hopper. I was like, what is
Upsetting
that?
film? Yeah, I like that you were like, "What is that?"
Yeah.
Because of that in the movie, not because of the
The weird dinosaurs with tiny heads.
the
and-
monstrous perversions that were on display for the majority of that film.
Yeah.
just utterly monstrous, disgusting perversions.
yeah, that was a weird
Bob
one.
Hoskins.
Yeah, but I like that idea of they don't even use holograms. They just use matter and reshape matter to like look like the people and you know and
Yeah,
and
you
there's
got your
just
matter
a
here.
Program. It's just programmable matter.
Yeah,
so
programmable matter. What are you gonna do?
Programmable. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And here's something
we're getting
eye-opener.
close. Getting close.
I wasn't sure.
Time for dilly dally.
I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure because I hadn't heard it confirmed either way.
He was not sure.
But synthahol has no alcohol. I just thought it meant synthahol just meant it was replicated.
I keep getting mixed.
Synthahol
Ideas
does
about-
not get you fucking wasted.
Yeah, right. That's what I meant. And I thought, well, maybe it gets you wasted in kind of its own.
Depending on
like-
who you talk to.
Right. Okay.
Because you're like, no one's going to drink. I'm drinking a Japanese whiskey right now. It's a very nice Japanese whiskey. I'm enjoying it. If this did not have alcohol in it, I would not be drinking it. Right? So presumably, I tend to go, I go with the theory that synthahol gives you a buzz, but it gives you some sort of magic buzz that you
Right.
maybe can turn off real easy.
Right. It's not an alcohol buzz.
Yeah.
It's
I
something
got
else.
Irish whiskey.
So you're telling me at that dance party they had in was it the first
See,
season?
they look drunk on snake leaf and space LSD
Yeah.
and alcohol.
Yeah, because Tilly was definitely being a little bit
Tilly
mouthy.
was-
And the
Yeah.
stuff that the Orions
Tilly
had,
Tilly just has a severe opiate addiction.
kind of funny, like some kind of funny weird drugs that like Clint Howard had in the Orion sector of
Yeah, they've always got. I
Klingon
forget what they
planet.
call that. The salt sticks or something. It's
Yeah.
kind of like the Star Wars Attack of the Clones did a similar thing with their death sticks.
Wen said that Titan no longer had long range comms, just like that waypoint that they went to where they met the guy at that Burnham
Yeah.
anointed or whatever.
Yeah, Mr. Sahil.
It's funny that they didn't even have like in system communication. Like so Earth and Titan couldn't even talk to each other.
Yeah.
They're fucking in system.
And why did Titan not have long range comms? Was it for the same reason that the other place didn't have long range comms, or was it something totally separate?
It might be different because the other place you had several sectors of communication range.
Right. Why is everyone out of long range comms?
Yeah,
for different
exactly.
reasons. I don't
Why is
know.
everything so fucked up?
Yeah, they could go 30 sectors in the other place, but what defines long versus
So
short?
Earth is
I don't
even
know.
more isolated than anywhere else in the galaxy.
Yeah, I don't know like what they're measuring that.
Well,
from with.
they are also actively trying to isolate themselves. So that's the
yeah,
other
they're
factor.
right.
You know, you can go on radio silence if you think it'll avoid attracting- Radio. All I hear is
Mexican radio?
Radio Gaga, Radio Goo Goo, Radio Gaga.
Spy report.
All right.
Yeah. So that's what I.
Those are
It's
the
got
end
Star
of the
Trek.
observations. All right, we've ended the
Twitter,
observation.
Facebook, feedback.
We've ended that part, and now we're moving on to the other part. We've already done enough dilly dallying, so we can do the.
Oh wait, there was a.
Oh shit!
One more.
Rewind. Observation. Remaining observation. Bonus observation. If you're listening to this, I hope you've donated to the Patreon that we have not set up.
When Cleveland Booker and Michael Burnham are on the ship to like capture the Wen, basically they're like, you can either Booker says in so many words, he says, you can either accept our gift, or you can fire back. Either way, I'll sleep fine. Did he mean like I'll sleep fine if we make the trade because I'll just be happy? And then the second way, if you shoot back, I'll sleep fine because I'm dead? Is that what he meant?
I think so.
Like, why would he sleep fine? He must have meant the second one. It's like if you shoot back, I'll die, and then I'll sleep fine. Maybe.
All right. That was more of a question than observation.
Okay.
We'll leave the question. No, it's a good one. And
He said no questions.
I'm sorry, I fucked that
He
one
said
up.
no further
I
questions.
fucked that up.
I did not say that.
I just had to present it
you
though,
didn't
so
say
we don't have to answer it. It's cool.
No. All right. You write us in. You let us know what you thought about all of this, and then you can listen to us next week. And who knows? Maybe we'll mention you. Maybe we'll respond to you. Maybe we'll forget to look at the email and not mention anything at all. And out there, if you are pining for an additional program to watch. I know there's a lot out there that you can choose from. The Mandalorian's just starting up. You can watch all previous Star Trek and a bunch of other stuff.
Should we rewatch Picard or The Lower Decks?
But what you really should be watching is the Goes Wrong show on Amazon Prime. It is a show from England in which the conceit is that a number of people are members of a playhouse. They do weekly televised plays, but the gag is something terrible goes wrong each week with the production of the play, from how the set is set up to costumes, problems, things like that, all with hilarious results.
Costume problems?
Yes, costume problems.
Like Janet Jackson.
Oh, that was a wardrobe malfunction.
Wardrobe malfunctions, costume.
If anybody even knows what the hell I'm talking about.
Anyway.
It's like ancient history.
So if you're not watching enough TV...
Well, if you remember 9/11, then you
this might be a week you need to watch some TV for one reason or another. That's one show you can watch. The Goes Wrong show.
The Gozer Bong.
Just watch more Star Trek.
You can also just watch more Star Trek.
Watch the Gozer.
That's what I do.
Watch the Gozer Bong show.
Gozer Bong.
Gozer Bong. They're Gozer Bong.
No, like Gozer from Ghostbusters.
Yeah, no, we got it.
But they're Gozer Bong. Dude, I see that. That's a
Hardly
joke
knew
on
her.
that. We kept making jokes off of each other's thing.
That's what we do.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of is.
Dilly-dally.
That's the brief, as they would say. Okay, so that'll do it for us. You can communicate with us in a variety of ways.
So I am told.
Yeah, I guess the main one would be feedback at itsgotstartrek.com.
.com.
I mean, it's not the main one. That's the email. Yeah, that's if you want to write us something private like. You know, if you if you have a concern, if you have a question, if you have any personal questions, highly personal questions, you can send those to feedback.
If you need some advice.
Kind of like when you took sex ed in 6th grade and then you anonymously gave them the card and then someone always asked if kissing makes you pregnant.
Yeah, the teacher would always read out all the ridiculous questions that people had, and everybody would just laugh.
Yeah,
It's great. It's like, what happens when you make sex with a girl?
Can you run out of semen? And then the gym teacher is like, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you can.
Sure.
Yeah. So, what was that? Oh, yeah. Feedback. It's got Star Trek. That's for sort of administrative questions or highly personal questions, or as Jesse noted, if you need to ask personal advice.
Feedback, as in you give us your opinions and on the show, not feedback as in like two speakers going into each other.
Right.
It's not a high-pitched feedback.
It's like you ask us a question and we give you some feedback.
But you can give us feedback about us, or we can give you feedback on a problem that you're having.
It's a two-way feedback.
So, but the good thing is even if you get it wrong, it's still spelled the same.
Yes.
So you're good. You just might be talking about weird shit to us, but that's cool too.
As we've noted earlier.
But it's not feedback.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. Yeah,
because that's for animals.
That'd be fucked up.
Yeah. So that's the email. Mark it down. We'll give you a moment to write that down.
Mark it down? I thought the market was up.
It's not, actually.
I don't think
actually,
so.
It is down.
It's been bad.
This week it's been down.
So feedback at It's Got Star Trek.
It was up last week.
There is social media. Social media, the young folks out there will be familiar with what we're talking about. Twitter is one form of social media.
Tweetire.
And there's Instagram.
Instagram.
Sort of like an instant telegram. Right?
We're not on Pinterest.
We're not on Pinterest.
Oh God, no.
I said Pinterest. I said
Pinterest.
I said Pinterest once, and some girl gave me all this shit. She was like, "You mean Pinterest?" Because I said Pinterest because a lot of people say interesting instead of interesting.
That's true.
Owen Wilson says interesting. So why can't it be Pinterest?
People are always saying shit. So that's Twitter and Instagram. We're on Facebook.
It didn't matter that she was a girl. I'm sorry. I didn't need to include that detail.
We're getting there. We're getting better. It's a progress over time. So Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Where necessary, it's at It's Got Star Trek. Otherwise, just type in It's Got Star Trek. Just do a search for It's Got Star Trek. You can do it on Google. You can do it on YouTube, which is owned by Google. You could do it on any of your podcast shit that you people do out there.
Talk about us on your podcast.
You could talk about us on your podcast. You could invite us onto your podcast.
Yeah.
And then we could talk about how we both have podcasts.
Yeah.
And,
podcast.
What do you think about having a
Podcast?
podcast? And we can speak. We are, as we've demonstrated, clear sort of top-notch experts on Star Trek, but we have a variety of other areas of expertise. Some of which, we're a little bit more free with. Others you might have to find out by sending us an email to feedback@itsgotstartrek.com.
Yeah. What are you guys into?
What is that stuff you're into?
What are you guys doing over
don't
there?
normally talk about
I don't
in the
even know.
podcast. What kind of stuff are you into, Dan?
Space hangers with force fields.
Do you like space hangers with force fields?
Yeah, force fields.
Do you like big hangers or small hangers?
Like big hangers where the ship flies in through the force field that keeps all the air in.
How much hanging do you like?
This force field, it keeps all the air in, but it still allows the ship to go through it.
Big force field, little force field, medium force field. Doesn't matter to me as long as the force field
As long as there's
has
enough
a good
force.
has a good personality.
Trek doesn't usually
has a lot of confidence. I like a confident force field.
Treks don't usually have force field hangar bays. They usually have you just connect to the outside.
With a door?
Yeah, like you connect to like in DS9. There's no force field hangar bay. You just connect.
Yeah,
to the outside.
those are docking ports.
These are the things
Yeah,
I look
docking
for in an MD.
My hair grows. You have to see one of the previous episodes to get that. Larry King, my hair grows. If you don't get it, you don't get it. And if you don't get that, you didn't live in the DC area
Duke
in
Zabrits.
the late 1990s. All right, so that's going to do it for us this evening. And this week, we look forward to you hearing our dulcet tones next week, in which we'll be talking about an episode that I didn't bother to look up the title for, but it's going to be cool. Does anybody know the title for next week's episode?
I know the title of next week's episode.
See, he doesn't. He's looking it up.
Have you noticed
He's claiming he knows it,
they're
but
not
this
showing
is
previews?
I know.
They showed a preview. I saw
Really?
a preview.
I'm not
yeah.
getting any previews
I mean, it
on
wasn't
mine.
much of a preview. It was,
I can tell you
we
the
saw
next
some
one.
Trill stuff going on.
The next
Okay.
episode is called as follows.
Okay.
It's called this, and it's about what I'm about to tell you
This
right
is
now.
borderline dilly-dallying.
Well,
Borderline.
Well, dilly-dallying.
It's on topic
sort of a-
dilly-dallying.
Now I'm
silly
okay.
Sally.
Now I'm dilly-dallying, but before I was killing time while I found it. Now I found it, and now I'm just dilly-dallying. So
Eureka.
now it's dilly-dallying. Forgot me not. Got me. Forgot me not.
Forget me not or forgot me
It's
not?
forgot me not.
Oh, that's awesome.
Is it forgot me not?
That's what I'm saying. I said forget me not. I was like, wait a minute. It
Forget
tricked
me now?
Forgot me now.
It says forgot
Hear me
not.
now and believe me later.
This is what IMDb says. It says forgot me not. That's
Is
why.
that like Forget Me Now?
This has been a classic edition of this is what IMDb says.
Yeah.
Because
Look.
you never know.
Yeah, because
But it sounds good to me. I hope it's that.
Because
That's more interesting.
I said
It's got the internet.
I assumed it was forget me not because I glanced at it. I was like, oh, it's forget me not. But then I looked at it again. I was like, no, it says forgot me not.
Yeah. The thing, people, is Dan is never going to settle for just the glance. He's always going to do the glance and then the intense
Your eyes is playing tricks on
observation
you, Dan.
afterwards. You got to get that data out there. You got to get that real data
Data.
up in your ocular joints.
And I'll tap on my head 5 times and look back and forth and turn the knob 7 times, not 6, 7.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing you should be talking about on the email.
I do 8. You should try 8.
No, even
Yeah.
numbers are bad.
All right, you can email us at feedback at It's Got Star Trek
They're
to find
nice
out
and round.
more stories about Dan's OCD. He will regale you with all sorts of clever tales for a small fee. So anyway, that's definitely going to do it for us this week. So we will talk to you next week with Forgot Me Not, the episode. Season 3, episode 4. It's going to be episode 50 of the It's Got Star Trek
50th
podcast. We'll celebrate by being more concise. I hope
It's going to be 50% more dilly-dally.
dilly-dallying all the way. All right, everyone, have a very good evening and a good night, good week, and all that. We'll talk to you later. Boop.
What are you doing? Don't touch that.
Why is that cube connected to your vessel's bridge controls?
This is a science research vessel. I'm an astromicologist. I use the cube for controlled spore reactions, which requires coordination with the bridge.
A science vessel's practically a museum. Okay, well, museums are cool, so that's what someone who lives in a museum would say. You live in a museum.
How old are you? 17?
16.
Would you please remove your 16-year-old fingers from my life's work? What did I just say?
This is an interface of some kind.
Okay, we get it. You're smart. Everybody here is smart.